Goddamn Rob.
Listen. It's a Rob week, you know? It's like the only news story that we had for the main show this week, and he's back on the podcast. He's very proud of himself.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how proud he is next week.
Right.
That's all. So how's things? How are you? How was your week?
Good. I didn't do anything other than went out for the last week of football this weekend. It was me. We went down to Wilkes-Barre, went down to Miller's Ale House. It was me, Josh, Scott. Scott brought his lady friend, who I've met a couple of times, who I became extremely interested in me and you when she found out I had a podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, you have a podcast," and she happened to bring her work with her a little bit because she was like, "Oh, I gotta just do a little bit of stuff on my laptop. I'll get the Wi-Fi." And she's like, "Oh, well, show me where it's at." After she got done, I was like, "This, that." It was like, "Oh, this is ours. This is the comic one. You're not going to be interested in that one."
She's not a comic book person?
No, not that I know of. I don't think she is. And then I was like, "This is one. This one's the wrestling one. You're not going to want that one." And then this one is Porch Talk. The less said, the better, because I don't want to confuse you. And I said, "This is our dicking around show, the after dark." She said, "Oh, I'll have to listen to that." I said, "Yeah." And I explained what it was. And then she's like, "Anything else I need to know?" She's like, "Oh, you have pins and stickers here and shirts." She's like, "Are they?" And I explained them. And I said, "This is the most important thing you need to know. The Amazon click-through up here."
Yes.
And I did tell her that. She's like, "Oh, okay." So she set it up so she can use that if she buys anything. And we talked, and she's like, "Oh, I'll have to check that out." So that was interesting. And just so I could say it, her name is Milan, like the city, not Mulan, like the movie. So you know.
Gotcha.
Because there used to be a big to-do about one of Scott's former lady friends' first name. So they're like, Scott, make sure I know what I'm doing. It was real easy. We had one friend who say there was this person Scott knew, and her name was Audrey. And this friend hung out with him. I'd never met Audrey. And they were hanging out, and he would go down. When he would come back, and he'd be like, "Todd, I was hanging out with Scott and Aubrey." And I'm like, "Oh, this is nice. I'll have to meet Aubrey someday." So he kept telling me, Aubrey. And these aren't the real names, by the way. Aubrey. So when she shows up, it's Audrey. And I'm like, "Oh, Aubrey." And they're like, "No, my name's Audrey." But it had happened so much to this day. When we talk about that person, I can't remember what the real name is anymore. So like right out of the gate, he's like, "This is what it is." And I'm like, "All right, it's Milan. I'll never forget that now." And whenever I talk about it, I'm like, "It's Milan like the city, not Mulan like the movie."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's how I get myself in trouble. But anyway, but we had a good time. We watched the games. Josh's Dolphins made it into the playoffs,
right? And they have to play the Bills. I'm somewhat aware.
Right. And then she's a filthy Steelers fan, but I didn't hold that against her. And her Steelers got knocked out because the Miami Dolphins won. But
it was like the Dolphins. The Dolphins had to lose, and believe me, listen, I heard it all from my dad. He had like a chart that he had printed out of who was going to go where. You know,
a Venn diagram.
Yes. And I'm like, why don't you like? And I say this all the time that we talk about football. How about the team that wins the most gets into the playoffs, huh?
Well, that's the way it works. Well, how about the guy whose feet touches the floor first is out of the rumble, Joe? But sometimes they mess that up.
Touch the ground.
Right? Yeah. So
you have to, you have to go over the top rope, being propelled by someone else. You can't just jump over the top rope. You have to be thrown over the top rope, and both feet need to touch the ground.
Right. And then when you try to do a spot, and if you fall and make yourself look stupid, you know, it's over.
I just want to have it on record that you were the one who brought up wrestling.
That's because DJ was at our local retailers today talking about the Rumble. So
yes, because he's having Michelle watch the Royal Rumbles this month for the Royal Rumble month, which is January. Yes,
that's what he said, and I was like, "How did she get roped into that?" So So I got
roped into
Rumble on the mind. So
like you, she is a secret wrestling fan and loves
Right.
the Royal Rumble.
Okay. So is there going to be action on the Rumble this year or what?
I don't know. There's going to be I don't know. We throw it together too quick. It is close. I don't know. I could be talked into it, but I don't feel like doing it right now, only because there's like so much else going on in wrestling right now.
Right, yeah.
The winner of the Royal Rumble feels almost secondary to like the real stuff that's going on in the world wrestling entertainment.
Fair enough.
Yes. But I'm glad, but that's the thing. So it was the last week of regular season games.
Yeah.
I think the Raiders played on Saturday.
Yep, the Raiders played on Saturday at 4:00, so they were the only game at that point.
Yeah.
And then, so they got beat by the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are going on to the playoffs. So technically, the Raiders were the first team completely, like the first team to finish their season by like an hour. So that means that the Raiders are going to be the most rested team next year.
Yes.
So they get that extra time. That gives them the edge, Joe. My prediction, 17-0, but that may change when we get before the season starts. I have to redo my equation, but I'm going with 17-0 because of that extra rest.
Mm-hmm. That extra 18 hours and give them a head start. Listen, if you're in a race and you have an extra 18 hours.
Right. Well, I think there was a game later that day, so maybe a couple hours. But that's all you need. You just need that extra edge, to get you over.
Right. Who's Scott's team? Was Scott like
the Jets, and they were playing Miami.
Yeah.
So Milan was rooting for the Jets to win because if the Jets won, then the Steelers would be in.
Yeah.
So it was ugly.
Well, it's football, It's
yes.
I think of all the teams that are in there, I'd like to see the Bills. I don't know who lines up against who. I'd like to see the Bills. I'd like to see the Giants, and of course, because friend of the show, the Boar, is a Patrick Mahomes lookalike without his mask on.
yes, he is.
Because I'm shoot trash. I'd like to see the Chiefs go.
Yeah. Because the Chiefs are, in my division, I kind of don't want to see them win. But then again, I don't want to see any of my 31 rivals win.
Right.
So, but if I had to pick of the two teams, an AFC team and an NFC team, I would really like to see the 49ers go with their third string quarterback, who was the last pick in whatever draft he was in, Mr. Irrelevant. And his last name is Purdy, so he sure is a Purdy guy. And the Bills, because Hamlin, the guy who got hurt, you know what I mean? I'd like to see him, who had cardiac arrest, get the Super Bowl ring. You know what I mean? Just give it to him.
Did we talk about that on the show last week? I don't remember.
Yes, we did. So he's doing really well now.
I saw that he was responsive, and I saw that they had like a bunch of the teammates were like there taking pictures with him, and he was like giving like the double thumbs up,
Right, he was doing the flex.
Yeah.
So his number was 3, so they had a 3 in a circle with like somebody like with the arm flex, which was really cool. So
yeah, and listen, I'm not one to say that all sports are fixed.
Right.
But I think the Bills are going to win for that reason and that reason alone.
I'm with you. Football has never been fixed except for that one time, and now it's going to be the second time, and that's it. That's the only time. Can you guess the other time it was fixed?
Was it when the Patriots won the Super Bowl in 2002?
Yes, it is. That's the time it was fixed.
So I had internet stuff today. I'm not going to tell all the internet stuff. I'm going to save some of it for at odds this week because it's in weekly. Some of it's in weekly purchases, right?
Right.
So I have been having like some dropouts here and there with my internet for the last like couple weeks, but like the last week it's really been persistent.
Right.
You and I didn't have any issues when we recorded last week for Tuesday or for Friday.
Right.
But I must have dropped out 3 or 4 times when I was recording with Adam for At Odds, right?
Okay.
So I had been trying to get a hold of my internet service provider. I couldn't get through to anyone. I finally got through to their customer service, and on the bottom of your modem, there's a MAC number, right?
Okay.
So I give them the MAC number at the bottom of my thing, and they're like, oh, that's not the MAC number that we have something else. Okay. Well, I did get a new one maybe about like 5 or 6 years ago, but they still had my old one that I got in like 2005 in their system, right? So they update that, and they're like, okay, well, they're like, we see that. And again, I'm not a technical person, okay?
Right, that's me on this show.
Right, that's you. So they're like, oh, we see the one that you have is like an 8-port one, whatever the hell that means. We're already up to like 32. So why don't you, we're open from 8:30 to 5, which is the same exact hours that you work at your super secret science job.
Right.
And you need the internet to do your super secret science job. Bring your old one to us, and we'll just give you a new one, right?
Right.
Because you pay your bill, whatever, you just get a new one. So I come home, I hook up the new one, I'm still having issues. And I'm like, motherfucker. So I call them, and they go, okay, we're going to send a technician out. And they're like, oh, the technician's going to be there between like 11 and 5. Okay.
Right.
And under normal circumstances, I'm like, oh, I got to sit home between 11 and 5. I'm sitting home anyway. I work from home. You know what I mean? Where the hell am I going?
Right.
So the guy gets here at like I spoke to them at like 11, and they got a guy here at like 12:45. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes in, he's looking at it, and he says that the electricity for your modem is running too hot, right? It should be running like whatever amplitude or whatever the hell it is that he said. He goes, it should be running between 30 and 35. Yours is running at like 60.
Okay, I'm no electrician, so.
Right. It's the fact that it's like double, like whatever. He goes, that's what's probably causing the outages. So he goes outside and he's dicking around outside. So, obviously, everyone has like cable, DSL, whatever mode, like internet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing outside that the cable coming from whatever was plugged into was corroded. So he had to replace that outside, and that was at like 2:00, and I haven't had any issues since. And that was running like this computer, work computer, 3 Wi-Fi devices, no issues, no problems, no nothing since 2:00 today. So new fancy modem. But yeah, man, it was pissing me off because it was really fucking up my work stuff,
Right.
And
Super science coming in through the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And then the rest of it we'll talk about on on add-ons this week, because that's weekly purchases stuff.
Right. I can't wait to listen.
I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
But the other thing that I've done in this last week is I'm finally caught up to date with my cataloging spreadsheet of what comics are in what boxes and where those boxes are.
Okay.
And everything is logged into this new fancy app that the Scottie Pippen of Azrael figure collecting, I guess, hit me to,
Right. I know about it, but you showed me Stash Your Comics years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been using that, and I'm still using that to this day. So that's why I'm curious about this little gem that you have.
Well, there was a period of time where I was using Stash My Comics as well, but then Stash My Comics stopped being updated for a while.
Right.
And then it stopped working for a while.
It always worked for me, but did you use the app or something?
No, I used the website.
Okay. So, because it was never really down for me. For like a month, it wasn't, a month and a half, it wasn't updating. And that was only like, I don't know, a month and a half ago. And then that was it. I never had any trouble with it before then. Occasionally something wouldn't get put on there, but it wasn't, as bad as all that. So
see, a lot of my stuff is that stuff was getting put up late.
Okay.
Like I can go and put like, they already have like they have solicitations. If there's a cover and a solicitation for a book, you could add it.
Right.
Obviously, and then you could like make a little pull list that'll automatically, like, you'll get like a little notification because everything has like multiple covers, so like Wednesday or like today, I got the notification about the DC books that are on my pull list.
Right.
And it was like, these are the DC books on your pull list. Do you want to add them to your collection? What covers did you get? That sort of thing.
Right.
Now I could get even like more granular with the app itself and match where everything is in the boxes on the spreadsheet to where everything is in the boxes on the CLZ Thing app. But I have, as I turn around here, 7 short boxes that eventually need to get moved down to the basement, and all of that stuff gets consolidated.
Yep.
And then once that's done, that's more than likely when I'm going to reassess the app and put everything into the boxes that they need them to be in there.
Okay. Now my first question is this a paid service?
Yes.
Okay, that was the difference, because I know I had heard, like, I thought maybe it was like Stash My Comics, where like the bare bones version was free, but then after that, it was like if you, like you said, wanted to put things in whatever order, blah blah blah, you have to, whatever, you know what I mean, like other features you would get, and then they would charge you for. Is it a crazy fee, or
it's $15 for the year?
That's too expensive for my blood. Do you know how many? No, that's not bad, actually.
I didn't know Stash My Comics not only had an app, but also I didn't know that they had like different tiers on the app, you know?
No, they don't.
Oh.
They don't. I was asking if CLZ did, because because Stash My Comics is free from beginning to end. Whatever you do with it, like you could put it, I have this in this box and this is over here, and you could put notes with it. That's why I was asking if, when you told me it was a charge, I said, okay, is it a charge for everything, or is there a free version at all? So sorry, I was confused.
Right.
So.
But I like it so far. You know, it's very user friendly. You know, I got no complaints with it. I could see everything where it is, and yeah.
How what ways do they take payment?
You know, PayPal, Google, whatever,
okay.
thing that you have, like whatever sort of phone that you have, you know.
Right. What I meant was, like, is I don't want to give them I don't know this company. You know how sometimes I don't want to give them my card, is what I'm saying. I'd rather just pay with PayPal, if that makes any sense, if I was going to do it. So I don't like to, but I'm trying to see something with Maya now. So yeah, because if I go over to CLZ right now, I have 15,000 comics stashed.
Wow.
So I would have to start from scratch at that app.
Well, obviously, like I said, I've consolidated quite a bit, over the last, all the time I would try to get rid of at least like a long box. And 2 years ago, I got rid of a bunch with the yard sale. I'm surprised you have that many comics, but again, yeah.
According to what that's, because Stash My Comics keeps how many you have.
Yeah.
Now, I know some aren't stashed because I took them out of there to sell, if that makes any sense. Like,
for sure.
I have a couple of, like, maybe 3 long boxes upstairs that are like completely randomized. I have to get them in order, and I'm like, okay, I want to sell those. And maybe there's some other stuff that's not right, but it's just a hair under 15,000. It's like 14,800 and some. I just looked at it, but yeah, Joe, when I bought comics, I never really sold anything. My whole life, with rare few occasions, like in the last couple years, I sold some sets, big sets, not stuff that I tried and got rid of, but it was like, I got rid of like a whole Firestorm run. I got a whole run of the Marv Wolfman Vigilante run. And then I was like, then Vigilante came back in Peacemaker, and I was like, I'm sad that I sold that.
Yeah. And
stuff like that. So then at that point, I was like, even before that, I was like, I'm not selling anything anymore. I'm just keeping it. And because I'm a bachelor, I just have a whole bedroom, just with comic boxes. So I don't know how many short boxes I have.
I didn't put any of like my trades or hardcovers or anything else like that in there. That's a whole other.
Right. I don't have any of that in mine either.
Yeah. Kettle of fish, but I got 8,200, and that's everything.
Really?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think my collection might be a smidge bigger.
Yeah.
But don't forget, there was a time when I was buying, that was my only thing. I barely came outside to see light if it wasn't to go buy comics. So, yeah. I'm glad I've trimmed it down a little bit. I was going to give you my my list for this month and tell you to cut what you think should go. So
I saw our good buddy DJ secret tweeting about that the other day. Yeah.
That's what made me bring it up. I was like,
yeah.
But I'll tell you, like, not that, like, you know, this is that show, but Aliens and Predator, I was buying, but they decided to start all like from scratch again on both of them, like number ones. And I'm like, well, guess what's going? Predator and Aliens. I don't need those anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's that kind of stuff is perfect jumping off points.
Yeah, because this is the show where we're not negative, right? Or where we can be negative. We have to be.
We can be negative. Yes.
Yeah. Do I have anything on my list that could be pulled? Let me look.
Right. I haven't done my list for Marvel yet because I just got the previews. So I'd have to look at last month's and see what I could get rid of.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm already projected out to March, right?
Right.
And my list is a little bloated right now, but that's, you know, like, like your Marvel, like the only consistent things right now are Amazing Spider-Man, Daredevil, and She-Hulk, right?
Okay.
The Joe Fixit miniseries just started.
Right, and that's finite anyway, so.
Right, and that's a miniseries. Hulk is ending soon. Punisher is finite. There's a Wasp miniseries that starts this month, which is essentially just like, there was just an Ant-Man miniseries that wrapped up, and then now there's a Wasp miniseries, so it's like they're the same thing, right?
Right.
And then there's a bunch of stuff that's starting back up in March, but again, we're going to get to March when we get to March. DC is where my big stuff is, but like Batman vs. Robin is ending soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it has like 2 issues left. Dark Knights of Steel has like 2 issues left. Gotham City Year One has like 2 issues left.
Human Target has 2
Human Target has like 2 issues left. Sergeant Rock has like 2 issues left. Superman Space Age has 1 issue left. And then Swamp Thing Green Hell is finally coming back.
Oh, don't start me on that one.
But that's one where they put the first issue out, and then they're doing a reprint of the first issue this month. It might even be this week, because it's been a year since the first issue came out.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like I said, my DC list is super bloated, but in March, it's going to be like bare bones. Because by the time March rolls around, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the books, 7 of the books will be done.
Right.
So, like, even though my list is a little bloated right now, it's all going to even itself out eventually, right?
Right. I'm looking at mine, and I only have February because I didn't get to do my March Marvels yet.
Yeah.
So this is my Marvel for February. Alien 6, which is going to be the last of that run, and then there's a gap in March or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's over. I'm done. Fantastic Four. I'm enjoying that book, so I'm keeping that. Hulk, that, like you said, is ending. Joe Fixit is ending. Wasp is ending. So then I have Thor.
Now, Thor I dropped because they stealth changed the creative team.
Right. Donnie Cates left, but I still enjoyed what I read.
Yeah.
So in the end, the only 2 ongoings from Marvel I'm going to have are Fantastic Four and Thor. And I think Thor's going to end soon, too. I think they're going to go to everything that Donnie Cates kind of predicted, but it's going to be truncated and just get it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'll ride that out. But my Marvel one is a little more, like you said, I got bloated. I have all the stuff that you have and Flash, and the only thing is I'm kind of thinking about Superman, the new Superman book, because I'm gonna get that Jonathan Kent one, the son of Kal-El, whatever it turns into.
Yeah, but like we're already getting Son of Kal-El that's getting rebranded as Adventures of Superman.
Right.
And then that's going to be like a 6-issue mini, and then that's going to just get rolled into like another new number 1.
Right, but then there's that new Superman 1 proper with Clark.
Yeah.
Which is going to be Joshua Williams, son of Williams, whatever age one. That's the one I'm on the fence about. Because that last crossover with the Tom Taylor issues makes me want to read more Superman.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about trying that because I really enjoyed his Flash run for like almost 100 issues. So we'll see. I don't know. And my independent stuff is really lean, so I don't have to worry about that. And a lot of the independent stuff isn't ongoing. You know what I mean? They're like, most independent stuff that we get is all like, oh, it's 6-issue minis with breaks in between and stuff like that. Hell, Saga isn't every month all year, you know?
Right.
So, well, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's but it doesn't sound like there's anything that you can cut right now.
No, and I'm not looking to cut. I have it down to bare bones, but I am looking to organize and get my comics back in order because they are back around to organization. They're I know everything I have, and I know what boxes they're in, but because I did a spring clean, I put all the boxes in closets real quick so I could clean. So when I take them out, they're not marked. Like, I do have things in box 1, box 2, box 3 on my stash, my comics, but they're not in that order because I was just throwing them in the closet where it'll take me a few minutes to figure it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I'm thinking if I'm going to do that app is I'm going to start clean and just get them completely in order, if that makes any sense. So
yeah.
We'll figure it out. Like I said, I may have more questions for you off air, but we'll see, you know?
Absolutely. So, hey, anything else?
Nope, that's everything for me.
All right, I was about to wrap things up. Hey, TeePublic sale this week, Amazon affiliate link, and Patreon. Patreon.com/longboxheroes. We just recorded January 1993 Previewing the Past. It was a good one. I had a lot of fun with it.
I also had a lot of fun with it.
I even had fun going back and editing it and listening to the, I was enjoying the fun that we were having recording the show.
Oh, cool.
So get in on the fun, everybody. Thank you very much for listening here. This was episode 426 of Longbox Heroes After Dark.
You're listening
and,
to
we'll catch you all here next week.
Network, the Lamborghini of podcast networks.